Good evening. My name is Dawn Lyons, and I'm the Executive Director of the Nevada Statewide Independent Living Council. First, I want to ask, is there anyone who uses American Sign Language that needs to be close to the sign interpreters? Thanks.
I do sign language, but
Go out. Okay, good. Okay, if you have a hard time, you can always come up closer. Yeah. Okay. And glad you all can make it. So in our notice, it says that we're responsible for developing a new state plan for independent living every 3 years. And we're looking for information from you guys about what the state needs, especially this area, because that's where you're from. What exactly it is that the disability community needs as far as services goes, what's working, what's not working. Are there suggested services that aren't in existence that we still need to ask for, and those kinds of things. This is going to be your time to tell me what you need, and we're recording this all so that we can bring this back to our committee who writes our next state plan, and they can actually include your suggestions in our goals and objectives. And let me give you a background on our current state plan. Our 3 main goals, and they're kind of broad, but there's a reason for that. Well, the first goal is to improve access to independent living supports and services statewide. The second goal is to improve awareness of independent living network and philosophy statewide. And the third goal is to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of the independent living network statewide. So to explain what the network is, that's the Centers for Independent Living and the council, the State Independent Living Council. Together, we create the Independent Living Network, and our federal agency is the Administration for Community Living. They give us the money to do all that, and they basically have us use the state, which we elected to use Aging and Disability Services as our fiscal agent, basically. So they receive the money, they are in control of the money, but we get to decide what we advocate for as far as disability services go. The council, that's us, we don't provide services at all. We're not allowed to. The only thing we can do is get the word out, educate, inform legislators, inform state authorities about policies, about services, about what the disability community needs are. So that's our main purpose. And the state plan for independent living helps guide us on what we're going to do the next 3 years to accomplish the things that we put in that plan for the goals that we were trying to accomplish. So that's why it's so important that we get your feedback, because this isn't about a group of people that sit around at a desk every quarter and talk about things. Although our work is important, it's about you guys. It's about what your needs are and what you do and what you're not getting, right? Because we all know that there are plenty of services that are needed in Nevada, or improvements in services in Nevada that could be had. We just need to know which are the most important. So some of the things that we've done so far over this last 3-year period, +1 because our federal agency decided to extend our last 3-year SPIL, so it's technically a 4-year SPIL. But and the SPIL is short for State Plan for Independent Living. But some of the things that we've done are provided over $200,000 for IL services across the state, $140,000 for the state independent living plan, or independent living program. I'm sorry. It's the AT for IL program that the state runs. They have done an absolutely fabulous job, I have to say, of really sticking to the independent living philosophy. We've given help to the centers to provide scholarships to go to the National Council for Independent Living in Washington, DC over the last few years. Sorry, gotta put my glasses on. So we've collected consumer surveys and presented SILC information to partners, as well as collaborating with legislative initiatives with other boards that advocate for people with disabilities. We also supported a youth action council that we started to provide a voice for youth in the disability community, because we all know that the youth is our future. We've worked to develop some resources and move forward with starting the process to become what we call a 501c3. For those of you who don't know, that's just a nonprofit. We're hoping that that'll give us a little bit more autonomy and independent agency outside of the state agency that provides our funding. Because according to the federal government, they have to be responsible for the SILC's money, but we get to decide how that's spent. So as long as it's within those legal parameters. So we've also well, we've gone through a couple youth leaders. It's been a little bit of a challenge for us to recruit youth, mostly because they're busy with college, or they're busy with high school, or they have jobs already, or they're, so trying to get something coordinated. So they seem to have busier schedules than us, right? Like we kind of settled in our schedules. We know when we can meet as a council, when we can, advocate, when we can do things. The youth are all over the place. They have different schedules. They have a lot going on. So it's been a little bit of a challenge to get them to come together and really become a voice for their population. But we're hoping, because we have just been awarded some extra funding from the Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities to help fund the position of a youth outreach specialist. So that's something that we want to actually put in our next state plan, so that we can move forward with really building more of that youth presence in the disability community. I can tell you that's probably going to be one of the things that our council votes to incorporate into our next state plan. As far as everything else goes, I know that the state independent living, or the AT for IL program, is working really well. And the state recently, I'm not sure what happened, but the Aging and Disability Services took $8,000 away from this AT for IL program, which we didn't realize they were going to do. And so what we had done was, because they promised us that they were going to eliminate the wait list, which they're still going to do, but it's from a different funding source, which really was confusing to me at first, and that's threw me off. But now that I understand it, they're still providing the money to eliminate the wait list. But I don't know if that means they're going to bring back that $8,000 on an annual basis. So I'm not sure if the state is actually going to continue funding the IL program the way they have been. And I know that's important to our community. So that may be something else that gets put into our state plan for independent living for the next 3 years, is that we support them, because we've been supporting them. But if we need to increase that, maybe we need to look at that. But
can you explain what the wait list is? Because some of us don't know what it is.
I'm not the program specialist, and John Rosenlund is, and he's really good at explaining that stuff. But I can give you a general overview, and then if you have questions, I can always give you his information to reach out to him personally, and he will be more than happy to provide details about that. But the wait list is, so AT for IL program has 2 parts to it. The NATRC, which is the, help me, Randy.
National Assistive Technology Resource.
Thank you, National Assistive Technology Resource. They provide demonstrations and help you to determine what kind of assistive technology is right for you. They don't provide technology. They just provide like samples or give you access to it so you can figure it out and see if that works for you. But they're very good at helping you figure out what's best for you in that regard. That's a separate program from the AT for IL program, which is currently being run through Care Chest. And Care Chest provides assistive technology, but also like ramps if you need a ramp for your house, or and what they do is they actually sit down and they help you figure out an independent living plan. So it's more than just providing a service or providing a ramp, right? It's providing the access to figuring out what exactly it is that works best for you personally, not your neighbor, not the person next to you, not even maybe someone who has the exact same needs as you as far as disabilities go, because maybe you're better with a certain kind of technology than that person is. So really what they do is they work with you personally to figure out what the best solutions are for your needs. And that's the most important part of the independent living philosophy, is that it's self-directed, that you're deciding for yourself. No one's telling you what you need. You're saying, this is what I need. And that's the biggest part of it, is we want to be able to decide things for ourselves, not have someone decide for us. So the wait list is basically people who have created goals or determined that they needed certain things or services or AT that it's not available yet, or maybe they still need to save enough money to get it, or there's all kinds of different reasons why they might be on that wait list. It's not necessarily that the state can't provide it for them yet, because the Care Chest does help with the expenses in some cases, but they can't, for instance, they can't buy you a van that's wheelchair accessible. They can help you finance one at a lower rate, maybe if your finances aren't that great, but they can't actually purchase one for you. So those are the kinds of things that end up on the wait list. But I'm not really sure how the state is going to eliminate that wait list, because sometimes they have no control over that, but that's supposedly what the funding is going to do. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll call on people to let me know what exactly you would like to see in our next 3-year state plan for independent living.
I would actually like to see it where a lot of more people are getting help that are going to prison and all that, because that is, there's a lot of disabled inmates that come home each day, and that is something that really needs to be addressed.
That's a good point. So in case you didn't hear that, he said he'd like to see more assistance for people who are getting out of the prison system with disabilities. And that's something we've actually talked about before. And I know that even our SIL's executive director has brought it up at our SILC meeting before as a SILC member about driver's licenses or IDs and things like that. And I know they just passed new legislation to help with that. So that is something that we advocated for. We can't lobby. So we can't go and tell this legislator, you need to pass this bill, or you can't pass that bill, but we can say, this is what the disability community needs, and this is how this bill would help us, right? So that's kind of what we do as a council a lot, is we go and talk to people and tell them what we need. But yeah, that's not something that we have specifically put in our state plan before, but maybe that is something that's needed. So I appreciate that.
We have people trying to find housing, like me as a fellow myself,
And
I've had problems finding housing. And like we're saying, our CIL could even tell you that herself.
And they can tell you too, all of the
Yeah.
centers are working on helping people find housing.
Yeah.
And they're all facing the same struggles because there is none available.
Yeah.
It's like Nevada just has such a shortage of accessible, affordable housing.
There's so many housing, but It's not affordable.
Yeah, and that actually is something that was in our last state plan for independent living. We did have some goals. We, that was one of the things that their scholarship for the NCIL conference in DC was going to help with, was helping these youth learn about, you know, independent living and what that means and how to help people with things like housing and stuff. And so that we're helping people move in the right direction so that we have more advocates, right? And we have more of us, because right now we could actually use some of you guys on our council if you're willing, because we need more voices. So, yes.
Actually, 84,000, we're short 84,000 units right now.
In Carson City?
State.
Oh, in the state.
Yeah.
This woman back here with the
I
red.
want to say something from the RCL Center. We as Carson City low income people and the disabled need the RCL Center to stay open, please. If it wasn't for Dee Dee and Linda, me and my husband would not be where we are now. We really want them to stay open. Because we see the resources stretched out to the limit, but we need more. We need RCL to stay open, and I'm asking, please,
So
keep the center open for RCL.
I appreciate that feedback, and as Dee Dee can attest to, the SILC has been very supportive as much as we can be. We don't have a whole lot of funding, but we have been trying to support the Rural Center for Independent Living because we know the work she's doing is important. There are some requirements that are beyond our control. The federal government sets the guidelines as far as what constitutes a center for independent living. So we have to follow those guidelines. We don't have a choice, and they get the final say. But I appreciate that feedback, and we will do what we can, of course, to make sure that
Maybe-
people are getting what they need.
Maybe tell Congress that, hey, Carson City needs the help. Not the other places, but Carson City needs the help. Not Reno, not far.
So Carson City needs the help with independent living?
Yes.
Yes, the cost of living.
Oh, the cost of living?
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Are you, so does everyone here understand what independent living is? Because it's not housing in itself, although it incorporates housing and assistive technology and all kinds of other stuff that people with disability need. But the independent living philosophy, what it means is that you're deciding what direction to put your life trajectory on. That someone else isn't getting to decide that for you. Independent living is a self-direction. It's the idea that you get to decide for yourself. So it's not, you know, yes, it can include housing issues. It really includes any issues that people with disabilities really find important.
So could that be like access to trails?
Yeah.
Okay, so or access to the Jack Bus or the Brown Carson.
It can be access to any recreation. If you feel like there's a barrier for people with disabilities to the kind of recreation that would improve your life the way you would like to see it
So
improve,
it's acknowledging where barriers are.
it's trying to break down those barriers.
Yeah.
Or you, once you tell us what, and mostly the centers are really the ones you tell, and you create that independent living plan with. So they can work with you on creating those goals, and then they know how to advocate for you.
So transportation barriers,
Mhm.
so. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. And I'm sorry, sir, you had in front, you had a comment or question?
Actually answered that. I wanted to know what RCI meant, so I got it below.
Rural Center for Independent
Thank you, it's
Living.
just too many.
There's two actual centers for independent living that are acknowledged by the federal government in our state. That's the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living and the Southern Nevada Center for Independent Living. The Southern Nevada Center for Independent Living covers all of Clark County. And the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living is funded to provide services to all the rest of the state, besides Clark County. The Rural Center for Independent Living has been operating without federal funding. And they've been assisting people in the Carson City area with issues that are important to you in regards to independent living for some time without being supported federally. But that's why they're looking to be included, but they're working hard on it, and
We're actually covering Carson, Lyon, Douglas, Story. And now Elko.
yeah, now it's Nye County and Elko, and yeah, like she said, they're really expanding. But that's because she got some extra funding for the vaccine clinic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
have a question on this, so. All this money, right, that's going between the whole state. Then why is it that all the money that's coming, it's supposed to be going to our CIL, right? Going to other counties?
That's what I was saying. So the Administration for Community Living, which is the federal funding agency, it's not our state, it's the feds, right? They're the ones who fund the independent living network in Nevada and in other states. So they're the ones who determine who gets the funding. We don't get to decide that.
Why not?
She didn't say Washington.
It's not fair.
Well, RCIL is working on proving that they are an independent living center, and there's requirements. But that the feds have,
Yeah,
so they're working on showing the feds that they're meeting those requirements so that they can be included.
cause she's been doing this for 24 years.
And I can't,
And they should have been using all those years that she's been doing this to show as the proof.
I can't speak for anyone on the council before me. But I know that as soon as I found out that she was running a center out of Carson City, I inquired and the SILC looked into it and the SILC decided to help her.
Yeah.
So,
And they did help me.
Well, do you
But-
need, we need more help.
But the thing is,
we could use as much help as we could get.
Yeah.
because this is the way I'm looking at it right now. It's not to be offensive or anything, or silk or anything like that. But all that money that's supposed to be coming in to RCIL should be coming to them. That's the way I look at it.
When you say should,
Yeah,
that's really subjective.
yeah,
Because, like I said, I can't speak for any SILC members or directors
Yeah. yeah,
before my time, but I know we've been trying to help them get seen by the feds.
yeah.
That's really all we can do.
But it seems like the Fed doesn't care.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think they were on anyone's radar.
Reason,
I don't know why. I can't explain that.
because I've been along with RCIL Dewdrop been since 2018, and I've known Dee Dee that long.
Yeah.
And she has done a whole lot for
She
a lot of people.
Hilda?
So, I'm sorry, but we are the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living. We are the federal entity. We are the fully funded fed part C funded entity. So have you heard of Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living? Because
No.
she is our rural advocate. And she holds office at the Department of Health and Human Services. So my concern only here is that
Yeah, but
there's
you guys-
theory here.
But the thing is that you guys have to use your own money
Yes.
to get it going. She did.
Because she's more focused, yeah. We serve the entire Northern Nevada, so.
So you're with Northern Nevada.
So Northern Nevada includes Carson City, and the
Okay.
same cities that's PD serves. So
Okay.
we serve the same entity, so if, for instance, you seek service, other services aside from what PD offers.
No, we don't.
So you
So
guys,
we might be-
so you guys are lucky here because you guys have choices. And, the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living is technically your federal center for independent living that you can reach out to at any time for services or for an independent living plan.
Okay.
You choose to reach out to Dee Dee because she's local
She's
and
local.
she can help you with certain things that she can help you with, like housing, right, in the
So
area.
we know Dee Dee ever since 2018, and when I met Dee Dee was through my husband,
Yeah.
and then he brought me to her, I'm like, wow,
So
I
no
need
one-
that help because
there-
I'm fighting with getting money, getting to become my own paid. Dee Dee and Linda help me do that, but what more can you guys do for us here in Carson City more than just what Work Rehab does, Job Connect? What more can you guys help us here in Carson City?
Mark Tabbitt.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I'm the director of the Blind and Low Vision Program at the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living. I've been coming down here every first Friday of the month to the senior center. We'll be here this Friday for a 2-hour class. I'm an ADA program coordinator. I teach people blind living skills and the other four values that an independent living center is supposed to do, which is peer support. So we have blind people that get together or people with other disabilities to get together to talk about things. We talk about information and referral. I'm also the president of the National Federation of the Blind, and I know basically everybody who's blind in this state. I know the legislators, I know the governor's office, I know the senators. In fact, I met with Jackie Rosa today. I also have been finishing up my certification for the Fair Housing Act, so I know how that works with people with disabilities who need housing, need accessible housing, need affordable housing. I serve on the Reno Access Advisory Board, and we're trying to get an advisory board open here in Carson City to help work with your city council so that they design your sidewalks. We walked over here from Jack in the Box. You guys need some work on your sidewalks.
I agree.
And the good news is that I know how that works because I've been working with the RTC in Washoe County, City of Sparks, and Reno, Washoe County for years. In fact, I've been talking to the folks out in Elko about that. I also serve on a board that talks about emergency preparation. I work with the State Coalition for Emergency Planning, and I've been on the Reno City or the Washoe County Health Department's Emergency Prep Board to make sure that when we needed to get those vaccinations for COVID, they didn't have it out of the rural where people couldn't drive to get to. Northern Nevada Center is doing a tremendous amount of things. I go to Burnley on the second Friday, Fallon on the third, and we go to Winnemucca on the fourth. We go out to Elko when we can, but I do a tremendous amount of work with Zoom, phone calls. I work very hard at it. I'm sorry that you didn't know the center wasn't there. I know you have a relationship with Dee Dee, and I'm sure she does plenty of great stuff. But I'm blind, you know. I lost my vision 9 years ago, and I got to see what the Department of Rehabilitation could do, and also what they didn't do. And I have a big mouth, so I complain about it. And the person who's our executive director, Lisa, she said, well, you know what? We need you. Why don't you come work here and you can help with people with disabilities so that they can learn to live an independent life, travel, walk the sidewalks, have a good job, have an affordable place to live, get access to food, medication, and all that stuff, plus access to their government. I actually served as the chair of the Independent Living Council before I started working at the Center for Independent Living, because I was already in it, even though I was running another nonprofit that focused specifically on transportation for people with disabilities.
Wait, you said you work out of Reno also the RCIL with the buses, right? RTC, right?
Well, we had the RTC, I don't work for them. I work for the Center for Independent Living.
Okay,
Yeah.
can you mention something to them for me?
Sure.
I used to be blind.
Oh, really?
I was partly blind. I'm still blind in my left eye, but I've gotten it fixed. The buses up there in Reno, they judge people that are blind. They're supposed to have seats in the front of those buses marked off for the disabled people, but the drivers don't care.
I have run into that. In fact, I took a bus ride last week that was one of the worst experiences in a
Because
while.
they
But
let
I
the
know the
homeless
people, I know the
people-
director of the transit
So
department.
they
I called
let
him.
the homeless people sit up in the front with their things. Cause I had surgery on my left foot about 2 years ago when we were living in Reno. And my husband had pushed people on the bus. They made me get out of my wheelchair and hop to a seat behind the disabled spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as you can see, both centers,
Yeah,
both the RCIL and the NNCIL are both your centers. And you
Cool.
can reach out to both of them. They can help you with different things.
We're on the same team.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
best.
the more people
People
helping us,
in Carson City have the best of both worlds because we have NNCIL and RCIL too, which we not only cover Carson, but we cover a lot of other counties too. And we worked very, very diligently with trying to improve our sidewalks. But we have 2 part-time people working in our CIM.
So what I'm hearing here, based on this conversation and on what we're asking for from you. What I'm hearing here is that we may need more education about what the Centers for Independent Living do.
I agree,
Yeah,
I agree.
the thing I have a question on
I
that,
have a unique
Kenny,
take on this.
Kenny,
I'm from
why don't
Washington
we
County,
let
fourth
other
generation,
people
okay,
in
I moved
talk,
here,
okay?
I'm under the Blind Act, but I
There-
also, I want to know what being done for people with mental disabilities. I get disability, okay, for being blind and for being mentally challenged, okay, or if you want to put that, okay, and I see a lot of people on the street, they know who I am, because I try to help in just little ways. But the thing is, I don't see anything for mental health, I went to was that for Vitality? But my counselor is 25 years old. And I don't see where a 25-year-old counselor could tell me something about myself when I'm 60 years old. Now, maybe that's wrong, but I'm not very computer savvy. And when I waited for my appointment for 3 months, and they said, here, open the door, let me in. I saw a computer and I sat in the chair next to it. And all of a sudden I heard the person going, hello, hello. And I turned around. They didn't even tell me that I was supposed to be doing that. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, I see more and more people with mental disabilities that are homeless because they can't really get any funding or anything. And it's going, and we know it got real big and it's starting here too. I mean, it's something that happens and it's hard to get mental health. I mean, it's not, most of the state is cut off mental health because it's not cost efficient.
You know, can I address
Okay.
this?
Yes.
First of all, I am so sorry that we do not have mental health services.
Well, I think-
Yeah, but, you know, mental health is just one of the,
Big problem in Carson City.
one of the largest problems across Nevada and across the United States. It's just coming into people's awareness, so they're just really, really starting to build on that network of mental health illness services for you. And I understand that, I do. I have a niece who, because of her mental illness, has chosen to be homeless on the streets of Reno. So that breaks my heart. Yeah, but there are no services for her. They keep putting her on the streets. There is a huge issue with it.
There is.
And we are trying. I mean, I'm working on the medical model.
So in fact, with our consumer survey that we collected a couple years ago. When we thought that was gonna be the end of our state plan, we actually, so number 1 on the needs, the biggest needs was housing. Number 2 was, I'm drawing a blank. Was it? I don't think it was transportation.
Yeah, it's usually.
Anyway, it was number 3 was mental health support. And so we are well aware that that is a need, and that is one of the top 3 needs in our state. We actually, I believe that is going to be in our next state plan for independent living somehow, in some way, shape or form. We have to do more to get more services available for people who need those mental health services in Nevada.
Just driving them to the street, then taking them alcoholics and drug addicts, it's easier just to do that than it is to,
And I think it's a national problem,
I
but
think,
the vast.
because I went to Coletti, I've had mental issues my whole life, so I know this. The only reason I'm calm right now is because I have to teach myself over the years.
And unfortunately, I think a lot of us have a similar experience because there's nowhere to turn. I first have a personal experience with it. My daughters have mental illness and we couldn't even get a provider, and I have insurance.
Yeah, I have.
So
It doesn't cover that.
it is absolutely ridiculous that we can't get the mental health needs, mental health services that we need. in
I
the
think that is one of the hardest things for any one of us, for Jeannie, for us, is when we do a lot of information and referral. And I will be looking for mental health service providers. And every time somebody asks me, I go to the internet, I start calling around just on the hopes that there is a new service out there for you. And it's not there yet, but it's kind of like the housing situation. They keep saying, we're funding it, we're funding it, we're building it, we're building it. And it's like, and I walk out feeling so hopeful. And probably a day later, reality hits, like, dang, not yet. You know, and it is that way with you know, mental health. It's just has not been recognized for you.
Those are the kinds of things too, that if you think you'll be good at advocating for that, join our council. If you think you'd be good at hands-on, volunteer with the Center for Independent Living.
I've been going to
You know?
psychologist,
Dawn,
psychiatrist since I was
Could we maybe get back to what people wanna, input people wanna put in?
We are, this is
Okay.
exactly what I'm asking for, so.
People have their hands up.
Yeah, I know, and I want to acknowledge the issues that people are bringing up and not just pass them over to go on to the next and the next as well. So I am gonna get to you, all. That's why we have an hour and a half planned. Just bear with us because these are really important issues and we need to hear what they are, what's lacking. Those are the kinds of things we are asking for, so appreciate that, sir, thank you. And then I saw your hand up over there.
I just wanted to share with everybody that if it's not enough, but Carson City does have the Mallory Center, which is like an emergency mental health ER, so to speak, that is open to anybody that is in crisis. And we also have a MOST team, and a MOST team is a mobile outreach safety team. And you can call dispatch and they can send out what it is it's a partnership with the sheriff's deputy that's been specially trained and a mental health clinician to help with a mental health crisis, whether it be a family member, yourself, or whatever, and they will try to connect you to resources and things like that. So please keep that in mind, that we do have both. It's absolutely not enough, but we are fortunate in Carson City to have.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I am thankful every single day for Mallory. I can't tell you how many times a week I drive up to.
I work for Carson City and Human Services.
There you go.
The sheriff department. Most. I've met Rachel.
Yes.
And they don't have a situation, but I was in a situation and I understand why I talked to Rachel about it. It's only I think for ancestors, I want people to know that if they call, if we just come,
I know you want to talk to
And
her.
if the safe is available, they do have other deputies that have received special training and also on how to de-escalate or handle a crisis. So just keep that in mind.
It's also a reminder, I know that you want to address certain people when you're asking questions, but if you could direct it to the screen, we have ASL interpreters.
Yeah.
And that way everybody can hear what's being asked.
I just want to make sure that they.
Awesome.
Okay. Yes,
One thing I wanted to ask the other group that does along with me is what can you guys do for like a person like me that is intellectually disabled?
so actually, I'm gonna let you talk to them after this meeting because I think they can probably give you a lot of information. But what we're looking for right now is what are those needs here and now in Carson? So that we can actually put it into our plan to directly
Yeah.
tackle those things later.
Yeah, but it's not just me.
Right,
I'm asking basically for other intellectual people, what can they offer us?
so the Centers for Independent Living are not supposed to turn away any disability. So they can help you the same as they can help anyone else with any other disability. So all you have to do is reach out and ask them for an independent living plan. And ask them to work with you.
Then how come I'm gonna put it in a nutshell, basically. Why isn't all the independent living centers not working together and, like us, not us?
That's a good question. I actually know that the SILC feels very similarly to you. We all wish in our council that we could all work together much more friendly. And really reach out to, because we all have strengths, right?
Yeah.
And some of us are stronger at things than others, and if we could refer each other to the right places that was gonna provide the most help, that's ideal for everybody in here.
Yeah.
So yes, we agree, and we have, I know I personally have been preaching this since I started with the SILC, that we need to work together, because we're stronger together. If we don't work together, if we start fighting with each other, if we don't agree with each other, if we don't agree with each other, that's okay. But if we start fighting with each other, no one else is gonna take us seriously, and that's so detrimental to our community. We really need to stand together and we need to stand strong.
And if you actually really think about it, ma'am, too, is this. Yeah, each independent living center starts fighting with each other and shit like that. What base is any less disabled people gonna have it?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's so important for all of us. Agencies to all work together. It's absolutely vital because we all want the same thing.
So
We all want to help people with disabilities with services.
And so what I'm hearing from you is that maybe we need to put in our state plan a goal for unity within our network.
Yes.
It's
Within
been like
our
that
network.
forever.
And
Yes, sir.
Well, it's hard to do unity when you got so many places getting so much. And so many other places getting so little. We want to grow as a rural place. But when you got north and south taking so much opportunity. And we're trying to fit in and trying to find our place in there. And by grace of God, that somebody just gives us a donation to help out with it. We don't have the people that help, not only resources, but the people that help, administration or anybody else like that to help, because we have no resources, we have no money. Well, basically, we're pretty much out of money and everything else to help with that. So if we're stuck in the middle, we're pretty much on shutdown here soon. So if we're stuck in the middle, how do you expect us to want to reach out to others when we try and nobody wants to reach back to us?
And that's something that is, I agree with you completely. I actually think that if we incorporate this goal, or this, a unity goal as one of our future efforts. And everybody, so when we create the state plan for independent living, we have to get the majority of Centers for Independent Living on board with that, because they have to sign it or it's no good and the feds won't take it. So if they agree to that, then we've got them on board, right? And then we have a starting point. I don't think it's all funding, that's the issue. I think we have a lack of funding all around.
Well, if you look at it, we have like 2 advocates, we try to help as much as we can. She's 72, how old are you, Linda? 63 and 72, we have no young ones coming in.
they're all be 74.
I know. But the thing is, James, thank you. But the advocates is lack thereof, because we don't have the resources to keep the advocates, to want to make advocates come and stay. So if they don't sign this, we're pretty much done. Because we have nobody else to take over when she's gone. 63, she's getting close. I love you. What I meant is, we don't have like younger people stepping in to take over for something like this. Main cash is coming from people who give,
And that's,
like her, and we don't have anybody else doing it.
that's why we're working as a council to create this youth action council. Because we really need the youth to step up and into their roles and understand this so that when we all age out of this, you have someone to take over that's relevant, right?
Well, here's an action to show,
I need some of that young stuff.
we got, out of all these people, we got 2 young people that actually showed up. Everybody else here wants to be a part of it, but they don't know what to do.
Well,
I mean, I don't know if they're interested in doing it sometime in the future, but what I'm saying is, if we don't get the word out there to the young people, where do we start? Because right now, it's not starting at all,
right.
because there's no young people involved.
Well, and pretty soon, we're going to be recruiting a full-time position, or almost a full-time position. I haven't figured that out yet because of funding. But a pretty almost full-time position for our youth outreach specialist. And that youth outreach specialist will also be kind of the leader and organizer of our youth action council. And so we will be recruiting once we get that
Is it
position
because I
filled.
lead, it's because I lead youth in church, you asked me to do something like that? I'm a big leader in youth, but, my biggest thing is trying to get youth involved. Like in church, like in where I don't like to bring church involved in everything we do, but it's kind of a big thing in everything we do. So he's here. But to try to pull kids into church, we have to kind of make it a difference. We have to make it fun, we gotta make it exciting for them. But the problem is, when you're talking about, and I'm trying to be mean, when you're talking about people who are handicapped or anything like that, to them, it's not something of interest unless it has to do with their own family. Because of the fact that youth nowadays don't see it. They don't understand it yet. And it's hard to find people in youth, people that are interested in it. At church, for instance, we have a couple of people in wheelchairs. It is hard for me to find young kids who would actually go to the door and help push them in. Do you know how hard it is to find youth to do anything nowadays, unless you're babysitting them or anything like that? Trying to get them to be involved in certain ways, and I hear you laughing, sir, what's the difference? What's the difference? How do I get the youth more involved? How would you get the youth more involved?
You have to engage your own self into their work, wherever they're doing, try to find something that you can't get them interested in.
But the problem is, you're finding common ground in the youth themselves, but not with the youth and the handicapped.
So here's what just my opinion is, for whatever that's worth. I've noticed that in society in general, in the US, across the nation, more and more youth are experiencing mental illness. And it's really getting to the point where, you know, it's hard to take care of yourself, let alone think about others. And so that's why it's so important that we get these youth to lead the charge for their own population. Because if we stand here and say, here's what you gotta do, it's not gonna work. They need to be the ones who say, you have a lion, hear me roar, and this is what we need. And the same way that we can get anything done, we have to be the squeaky wheel. We have to continue to scream from the mountaintops about what we need. And it's unfortunate, but that's just how we have to operate in order to get people to hear us.
But then we come back to the issue, if there's no real center for independent living, what do we have?
Well, and I hear that as something that you would like to see in our next SPIL as well, so notice.
Someone back here in the
Question.
Sorry. Oh, you have a question?
I have a question. Does NNCIL have more than one office or just one in Reno?
You just have one, right?
We just have the one. We used to have one in Elko, but we have decided to consolidate all resources. So as the rural independent advocate, I travel and I also service via Zoom or the old fashioned way, the phones, which tends to work really well in the frontier counties and the rural counties. And I wanted to speak to something really, really quickly. Unity is a wonderful word, but collaboration is, I think, better. And that is one of the things that I truly believe, and this is not mouth speak, this is actions that we need to do more of. Because as you said, we all have strengths. And that means that you guys can go to HHS. You guys can come to NNCIL. You can always go see Dee Dee. So we have all got to work together. And many of us will duplicate some of those services, and that's okay too. Because maybe, just maybe, you bond with somebody in another service, whereas you're not bonding here. There's just a myriad of opportunities if everybody collaborates and creates that sense of unity. And I would like to add that I am 68 years old. 6 people in our city. That's how many we have. 2 straightforward advocates, and we have Mark, thank goodness for Mark.
All right.
And Hilda keeps us all running. Without Hilda to answer questions, we could do absolutely nothing. So that's who we are.
So I hear collaboration
Yes.
in the IL network on our next state plan. And something I was gonna say to something you said, and back to what you had said, sir, was about, not really connecting, right, with your therapist or with your counselor, whoever it is that's providing the service that you need. There should be other alternatives. There should be another.
Well, I don't know what they all are. I mean, since I'm blind, I don't even know I have a smartphone, but I mean, I left, I didn't bring my glasses, so I'm afraid I'm gonna lose them, okay, it took me a month to get them, so. I just went to the bridge to eat and got the flyer and came here. I wasn't expecting this, but I've been going to mental health since I was 5 years old. I started on Ritalin, so I know, and I've been homeless. In fact, I know that lady right there. She doesn't recognize me, but I go to Health Skills on the, there, and Christina is wonderful. She gave me a place to live, but I've got to find a place of my own, and that's the hardest thing. Plus, with me walking up down the street, like you said, I started with I pulled the muscle in my arch, my foot. So I had a wheelchair, and I went to a walker, okay, and now I'm walking, well, almost normal, okay, but I got new respect for anybody in a wheelchair and a walker, I'll tell you that, okay, but it's like the old joke, you know why they call it the Blind Act? Because if you don't have a dog or a walking stick, they think you're blind. That's the joke. Anyway, I just came here because I thought, wow, I need something. I live 2 blocks away from here. Thank God for whatever reason. And the problem that I'm having is I don't have enough energy in this week to go look for a place to live. I'm trying to use up the agencies. I've tried what I can, but I do have mental issues, and I've gone for Vitality, and that's okay. I could do it online, but I couldn't see it anyway. So that's kind of, I mean, I'm kind of
Come
hands-on.
to our office and we'll be happy to.
I was
What's your
gonna say, so the problem
I'll
with,
give you my card.
All right, thank you very much. Can I use the restroom? I've been.
the problem with most of the mental health services in Nevada, I think, is that they're on the medical model. So you can use your insurance to go and see a provider, and it's all the medical model. The Centers for Independent Living provide that self-directed model. They provide the independent living model where they can help you maybe navigate that so that you can advocate for what you need while you're going through the medical model, which we all know doesn't really work for us that well, right? They tell us what we need, and it's not often what we need. So, yes, you.
Yes. I'm new to this, but I wanted to ask, you guys normally hold these kind of meetings like once a year, once a month?
So right now, we're preparing to write our state plan for independent living for the next 3 years.
Okay.
So we do try to do some outreach as a council. I know the centers do more outreach on a regular basis. But for this purpose, for our state plan, it's once every 3 years. We're going to come back in March after we have a draft written and to get some feedback on what that looks like and see if that's to your approval, right? Right now, this is preliminary to try and see what the things we're hearing so that we can make sure we get in the most important things when we're writing our draft. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
You want the top 6 this town needs?
Sure.
You guys want to write them down?
We got
Housing.
recorded.
Housing, transportation. Transportation, medical, dental. Employment. Are your top 5.
Okay, thank you.
For this area.
This gentleman back
In the
there in
red?
the red shirt, he's been waiting forever.
Okay.
During committee meeting to discuss your plan, I would like to see it being included that electric door openers at commercial enterprises that have a certain visiting population must be mandated or strongly recommended they put electric door openers at their facilities. There are dozens and dozens of commercial enterprises in this community that do not have electric door openers for people in wheelchairs, walkers, difficulty with eyesight, and they have to either beg other people to assist them or wait for a good Samaritan to come along to help them out.
If that actually sounds like an ADA issue.
Yeah.
And I know we've struggled with that. I don't know if the Nevada Disability Advocacy Law Center can help with stuff like that. I think they
Well,
can.
let me just tell you, Linda has a real good story in relation to electric door openers. And she's in a senior complex. And
Actually, Charlie is in the opposite, senior complex. Our complexes, Sue can vouch for that, Donna can vouch for that. We don't have electric door openers and it's pretty much all seniors. And we have a lot of handicap there. We've asked, we've begged, we've even called corporate.
we've called
We
everybody.
called ADA and nothing has happened.
And it's wired for
And they're wired. Old maintenance man back there tells me that it's wired.
And unfortunately, we just have to keep complaining. Because that's the only way that we're ever gonna get through. And eventually, they have to listen, whether that's because someone's suing them because they got injured. Or because they finally got sick of hearing us, whichever it is, we just have to keep at it. It does, it takes a long time and it's arduous and it's frustrating. But that's what we all have to keep doing.
I'd like to add to the list of needs, but not
Sorry, we need to be able for them to hear her.
James.
But the list of needs, not from what the community needs, but I'd like to give a suggestion of what your organization needs to do when sharing the list. Share the why. Share the why is it important? Why is housing? Why are those electric door openers critical? Why do we need to ensure that people have access to transportation? Have access to safe sidewalks. I rode around on the Jack bus last week or 2 weeks ago, actually, to just hear about what's working well and what isn't. And one gentleman said, you know, I plan, and hi Charlie, it's been years since I've seen you. That I plan my medical appointments around the death schedule. That's an important why, because those are the things that help people stay independent when they can make their appointments. You know, housing, when we have access to housing, that is what allows people to stay healthy and ultimately the community benefits. But the whys will also help with the tough conversations that communities have, because there are definitely folks in the community who don't understand the why. They only see the what, or they see that there are people who seem to be using services, always using services, and they don't really understand how ultimately the availability of services benefits a community. How ultimately it's, the ripple effect is a positive one. So I really encourage the why.
So what I'm hearing you say for our purposes here today is that it would be great to have community education for consumers as
Correct.
well as the policymakers and the legislators. You were next.
I wanted to mention something for Dee Dee and Linda. I'm in training to answer the front at their office. I'm in the reception. I answer the phones and I fire. So, ma'am, in the white, you answer about meetings with Dee Dee's people, with the RCL vacation group. We meet every month, first of the month, at Round Table Pizza, first of every month. It's fun, but please do come to it. I will.
And that's not the only thing she does.
Okay,
She also does like an activity night for the disabled, like
We do
certain
bowling.
days of the week of every month. Like one night they'll do a movie,
Bowling.
next night they'll do bowling
that's
for
fantastic.
the disabled. And the way I've been seeing things though, is that if every independent living center contributes to the other ones, they're all gonna benefit. And that's part of what they need to bring up in the meeting.
And I think I was headed there and I lost track, I got distracted. But I was gonna say, when she said collaboration is a better word than unity, I think they're both important and maybe both need to be in our next bill. So yeah, maybe we need to put that in within the independent living network.
Yes,
Before we can convince everybody else to collaborate with us,
yes.
we have to be able to collaborate first.
Yeah.
Mary Jane said, so,
Just a suggestion for because you said that you guys, like to do the outreach and so combining that with some education, you could have like a Nevada Disability Day and do some challenges with business owners, community center, people on, here's a grocery store, now you get around in a wheelchair, or something like that, or some type of scavenger hunt where they have to use adaptive equipment in order to complete it. You know, because, like I think somebody said, entering, you're in a wheelchair all of a sudden and you're going, wow, this is a big issue.
so do you have the time to be on our council? Good ideas like that, right?
No, well, I have to honestly say that, it's interesting that you brought up that, because a lot of times when I stop in the city workers, when they have the sidewalk blocked, and, cannot get them to stop doing this, no signage at all. So I finally I said, are you the one who's running this? And he goes, yeah. I said, come here. Now, I want you to close your eyes and try to just walk forward on the sidewalk.
So back, I know we called on you, but real briefly before that, I want to address your issue that you brought up, and it ties in with what Dee Dee just said. Is that maybe what we need to do is a little bit, and what you said actually, maybe what we need to do is a little bit more education towards individual communities. that have control over those things. So I know Dee Dee does some of that. I know the centers do some of that in different areas. But maybe they need to hear more about what your needs are in that regard, and they can step up and do that more. The council can certainly do some of that. If you come to our council meetings and you give us public comment about it, you know, we'll have a discussion about it at our next meeting and talk about what we can do to address that maybe. We do try to get out and do that kind of outreach.
I go to the transportation meeting every month and tell them what's going on out there.
But if doors aren't opening for you in your own, if you live in a senior community and you can't open the door,
It's a problem.
you can't get home. Yeah, that's a huge problem and it needs to be addressed. And you're not sorry.
Yeah, you know, you guys have a very good point, and I didn't finish what I wanted to say before. Because I wanted to explain that I have gotten to the point to where Carson City, our community, really needs people to advocate, and the only way that's gonna happen is if we, each and every one of us, get out there, and even at these group meetings, sit and talk about some of the stuff that happens in the organization.
And I guarantee you, if you contact one of us in the network, we're gonna tell each other. And we're all gonna
I know.
try and work together
Yep, great.
to get something done about it, right?
Because I think, you know, I think this just is on the right track. Getting people in here, talking, communicating, and letting everybody get the piece in, so we all feel like we're a part of something, and that we're not just kind of not being hurt.
You are a part of something. You're part of life. And we're all part of it and we all deserve to be heard.
We're all together in this.
Sure, and then the other one was people with disabilities are homeless. That's number 6
Okay,
in this area.
hear that loud and clear.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yes,
I take care of a friend in Benjamin Lane that near behind the trailer, behind, so they see us. Several times there's been between 1 and 2 people with a sleeping bag at the bus stop across McDonald's. And even at the bus stop downtown, I've seen 2 sleeping bags be left behind at the bus stop downtown or the bus stop across from McDonald's. When you see sleeping bags at a bus stop area, maybe I've seen them twice, one of them, 2 different places be abandoned. We do have a homeless problem in this town.
I'm gonna tell you why he sees these sleeping bags on the places where he's seeing sleeping bags. Is because our people have been picked up by the police or the sheriff's department, and they don't let them take their stuff with them. So it's left. And then when they get out, they have nothing. So they come to visit us. Yep.
yes.
I see it with the bus stop downtown by the Nugget.
Yeah.
Each one sleeping bag, the
Right.
other one was, it was being used by 2 different people. 2 people at 2 different times were sleeping in the bus in their bag at the bus stop across McDonald's.
So they need help.
And over 84% of the people on the streets are people with disability and the aged.
Yes. Autumn.
I just wanted to add to, I noticed there's been a big need from providers to learn more about
Thank you. I actually, your position, no offense, your position was favored by Aging and Disability Services over a proposal by Dee Dee to do that very thing. So, but we can help each other with that, for sure, because we know that that's needed.
I couldn't hear her.
So what she's saying is, what the community needs is someone to educate providers about what people with disabilities
They
need.
don't wanna listen.
And we're talking mostly medical providers, right?
They don't
Because they don't have the understanding, they just don't have that awareness, right? So that is something we've known has been needed, and we were working on something to address that.
I kind of disagree
They
with
don't
that.
listen.
You disagree with that?
Yes,
Yes.
because your law enforcement needs to learn it too.
Oh, that too. And providers don't just include medical providers. Providers are anybody in the community that has a power differential with the disability
A
community,
lot
pretty
of
much.
these law enforcement, they treat a lot of us disabled like we're just a piece of trash.
And I think that, the prison system speaks for that too.
Yes.
You know, the majority of, well, I should say a large percentage of.
Like a lot.
prison systems have disabilities, and there's something wrong with that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Like a year ago today, me and my husband were homeless out here in Carson City. We were staying nearby the A&P by the hospital in a tent. Law enforcement started to come out and tell us that we had to leave. I'm like, we were disabled. Where are we supposed to go? They told us, oh, you have 48 hours to leave, but we're taking you to jail. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll get hold of somebody that will tell you to leave us alone, because we have nowhere to go. We didn't have the money until the first of this year, because me and him get disability money. We went to Dee like, Dee, we need help. Why won't the law enforcement say, hey, okay, fine, we'll leave you guys alone? They won't leave the disabled homeless alone. They won't.
Okay.
What can we do?
So I hear that not only do we need to educate medical providers, but we need to educate law enforcement in Carson City and probably some other places. I know Las Vegas, they have some trainings. It may be possible if we go to Las Vegas that they may be able to share their trainings.
Maybe we should like have the law enforcement take 48 hours and walk in our shoe and see how it feels. Without their cell phones, without their vehicles and everything.
That's what most is about. That's what most is about. So when you're having a situation like that, then don't call 911. There's a separate number for most.
Okay.
And that's what it's for.
not just this area needs that. I think all areas like Reno, Las Vegas, all that. They need to take a sensitivity course for people that are disabled or
And
mental health.
But in different jurisdictions have different
Yes.
trainings depending on what their,
But
requirements
it
are.
might not be enough.
Exactly, and it's maybe something that we need to educate them about, right? Like, oh,
Yeah.
this department here is doing a great job.
Yeah.
Can you do the same? Can you talk to them and see what they're doing, that they're doing it right, right? I agree. Go ahead. Was that what you were gonna say?
No, that mostly it is. I heard on the news recently where they said that the Reno area was gonna clean up the homeless camps. And I thought, well, yeah, great, they're gonna clean them up. Where are they gonna put them? What are they gonna do with them? Ship them off to some other area? I mean, there's no solution. There's just go in and move everybody out of sight. But that's not a solution.
That's what they've been doing in Reno.
Well, and
That's what they're doing everywhere in the country.
giving a person a criminal record is not a solution.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and then you really can't get them into housing because they have a criminal record.
Or an eviction, if they've ever had an eviction.
Excuse me, can we listen?
Some other things like to see the end up. You have a winter thing, finally, I've been here for a year over. I was homeless when one of the first people that died in the field years ago, over there by Pantango, and they opened up the center over there at Fuji Park for the homeless, and I was one of those two people. So I see that, they've been taking care of, a lot of people got the church involved, but now 3 months out here, it'll be close to 4 months to take care of people in the winter time. So there's nothing for summer. So we got all these problems with the trash, people staying here on top, moving them here, people trying to relocate, we're having a hard problem out there. The people over by Walmart and stay away from other people, they're doing okay, they don't worry about them, but the ones around the city, they want to ship them all around. So this should be something, I know Chris takes care of, you take a shower, you get all the clothes you want, but then you need shelter at night, you say, a lot of them are women out there too. And yes, some of them have drug problems, but really, it's a homeless problem trying to find direction in life. The drugs can help them, you be able to tolerate certain things, so I know their level, a lot of situations.
So before I call on you, can I
But
just,
the city can stand the idea about taken care of. I know we only got what 15 people in the men's shelter, so many in the women's shelter.
That's,
You know, it's been like time. That'd be something we can do to take care of it.
that's what I was gonna ask you, and am I hearing you right in that you're saying not only do we need some permanent housing solutions, but we also need some temporary housing solutions? Okay.
There's not a point.
You?
So I mean, like, I know it's a lot of money and stuff like that, but the Knuckle Hotel was shut down. Why not finding a place like that to try to get into the RCIL to put disabled people, to find a place for them to stay? I know the cost is exceeding what most people would want to do. But, I mean, it's a place, it's somewhere out until we can deal and find that permanent place. And it has over 400 rooms. I
Bingo.
mean,
I agree with you, and I
Well,
know there's
here-
other states doing that. I actually, during the pandemic, we had a crisis with, people out in the streets, basically, sick and out on the streets. And I know that, there's an organization called Accessible Space that did convert some local hotels in Clark County, and I'm not sure up north at all if that happened here, but I know that Accessible Housing did do work with some of those to convert those hotels into temporary housing for some of those individuals. I know that the SILC during that time also suggested that to a lot of different entities that had some or any control over that kind of thing, and there were logistics that were beyond or outside of people's control in some situations, especially when you look at the big casinos, right? They're just too big to touch, right? So they don't open their doors, and they don't have to, because there's no law saying that they do. So maybe that's something we should work on is, probably educating more legislators about that issue. Because I do agree that those temporary housing situations, even though they're only temporary solutions, they are absolutely 100% necessary especially when there's a crisis. And the crises seem to be increasing.
well, that's the easiest way to, sorry.
The 20% rule, I think, is what needs to happen, so existing and people who are building new housing need to set aside 20% of those that housing in that apartment complex for people with disabilities, and the city needs to step up, or the county needs to step up and give those people discounts in their property taxes for doing that 20%. Because that would solve a lot of problems. When people have vouchers, they can't use them. No one will take them.
And so,
But if we have the 20% rule, it would be much better.
so on a council level, on a statewide level, we can advocate to legislatures to create a statewide guideline, right? And maybe that guideline can inform individual cities and jurisdictions about what options they have and how they should be operating. Maybe that's where we need to start, a statewide.
So
Yeah.
here's the other problem, when we deal with that.
Countywide would be better.
Yeah, it's nice to give up 20%, but they're not making that much money on those apartments or condos or nothing, so guess what? We're just gonna stop building. Then we're back at square one.
No, they're not gonna stop building.
Oh, yeah,
Too much money.
oh, yeah.
Hi, this morning I was blessed
Or
with
less.
an issue that County Home Runs up to your special program. NPR put on its A1, it's a daily type deal, and this time it was about rent control. Now, the title is rent control, but when they go into it, they talk about the factors that are involved with people that are renting their places, just individuals as corporations renting them, and the incentives that rent them to people for less, and different considerations. If anybody gets a chance to listen to that particular show, it was so informative about all of the frustrations that are put in front of people to be able to utilize housing. But the main gist of it all was that there is not enough housing.
Would you mind emailing me the information about how to look at that program?
Do that, but I can I just go on. Yeah, thank you.
Let me know so I can write
That's
it
what I'm,
down.
that's what I'm.
Do you have some literature with everybody's business on how to contact people? I have no idea how to contact people.
I have hold of NMCIL. I also have some personal business cards here. It has our website on it. It has my email, it has my phone number for work. You guys are welcome to contact me. Please check out our website because it has a lot of information on it. And it's a good way to read about us, figure out if maybe it's something you want to help with or do on the side. So, you know, it's something that, since you're all here, I'm assuming you're interested. in- Yes.
That's you. Thank you.
So,
I would take it. One of those cards too. Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
I guess you want one too.
Mark has some cards.
Hey, never mind.
Yeah, for NMCIL.
And I don't care.
Anyway, there's more. That's our lunch.
Website would have all our information.
Yeah, this,
And links to our website.
our website has
Right,
all
great.
the
Take a look.
information for the Part C Centers for Independent Living, so the NNCIL and SNCIL. And then our CIL is listed as one of our partners and resources under
Yeah.
our resources tab.
And Edith has got the pamphlets at the office.
We have about 7 more minutes. If anyone else has any suggestions, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanna say to everyone here that works with the program. Cause I've been in the program, it's helped me, and I'm sure grateful, especially you. And I've not met you guys, but I'm sure you guys have all had a hand in everything here. And I'm just blessed that I came to the meeting. Cause I got to learn a lot of good stuff here and I wanna be able to help. And so I would like one of your cards, but I'll come afterwards and.
Absolutely, and you know, as far as you being grateful, I am so grateful that every one of you showed up tonight because we can't function without your input. This is about you. Like I said, this isn't about me. This isn't about a council. This is about your needs. So I appreciate everyone.
Could you sum up before, you said you had 4 sets to raise your next considerations that you came up with?
Oh, no, that was just our consumer satisfaction survey.
Well,
It
yes.
showed us what the.
Everybody else wants to add anything? Maybe transportation. Situation.
Housing, both temporary and permanent housing. Educating the community, educating, providers, creating more collaboration within our
Sidewalks.
Advocacy, that kind of goes along with education, because if we educate the community on how they can make a difference in those things in their community. Because we're a statewide council, we can say, oh yeah, you know, we heard from this person that your sidewalks need to be repaired. But they're not gonna listen to us, they're gonna listen to you because you live in a community, you're a taxpayer in the community, you're an important part of this community. And we know you need help with that, we know you can't do that alone. So that's why we have centers for independent living.
I just thought you went through some of the points that concerns.
Oh, yeah. And those do concern us, and that's about educating the right organizations or legislators who can make those changes in legislation.
You're gonna take something time that's to from this meeting from yours. Somebody got this tonight. You're gonna be taking what you heard tonight. And then, because you have contacts with everybody's organizations, spreading that around. And you have people here from our city government, people here from the transportation connections, as like Mark and said, and all that will be distributed. I mean, distributed.
So what we like
you to do too.
What we'll likely do is once we create our state plan for independent living, we'll make sure it's approved by our federal authority, because we have to make sure it's approved. Once we receive an approval, we will share all of that information and we'll break down those goals and we'll break down the reasons why, and we'll educate as many people as we can about why we have this state plan.
What?
The why. Yes.
I appreciate your directing answers, but I'm hoping that my asking you to sum some of this up tonight was for everybody's sake, because this is a lot of material for me. And I have areas of my own personal focus, and then I have focus because those individuals that I meet on the street, or people I meet in organizations, working for Ron Wood to put together updated where to go for this issue was a very big opportunity for me to call those individuals, find if the statements they made about the things and the resources were still able to be met, that they could meet their statements. And some of those had to be saying, well, we don't have the funds, or we had to change this. And so we updated that list of to go tos. It would be nice just to have another update. I haven't talked to Joyce or any of the individuals there, and I've been out of sort of making a loop there for my medical and personal reasons. But those booklets being given out, even if they're small pamphlets saying, listen, if you're homeless, if you have this or this problem, direct you to this group or to that group or this organization, or we've got a telephone. And having telephones is hard. I'm around people that put their gear down and turn around and it's gone. Or like you said, they get picked up and they lose everything. They take their licenses, they take everything. Sometimes those things are not returned. Now I have to take it from the person telling me with no backup, acknowledge, how do you say, a second view of that. There might have been circumstances, or they might have been confused, or they may have lost their gear before they got arrested or picked up. So I take it from that person, and enough people are telling me the same story as too critical to their original. Not that I'm not believing you to tell me something,
Right.
but I want to follow it up that if one circumstance is not a situation, that's a big problem.
So what you're gonna hear, actually, if you want, is, because we're not just visiting Carson City and gathering this information. We're going to Elko tomorrow. We've been to Peru. We did a virtual, and we're just getting as much information from as many locations as we can and people, so that we can create a SPIL plan. But we have what we call a SPIL work group, and everybody is invited. So that's where you'll hear the overview of how it comes together, and you can participate. We invite everybody to participate in the progression of creating our next SPIL. So if that's all on our website, I know if you don't have access to that,
They'll help me upstairs,
okay.
but I can't necessarily reach out to them because I don't have.
Before we close, can I just invite everyone who is in this room to please come to our monthly meeting. It is September 7th at Round Table Pizza,
5 p.m.
at 5 p.m. on the north side of town.
Yes.
And we discuss a lot of independent living issues. And we also play bingo, which is really great.
We all make a game up to there.
I'd also like to wrap up by saying that everyone is invited. But please come to any meetings that we have, you're invited to. They're all open to the public, and we invite your input. If we will let you know at the beginning of the meeting, because it's open meeting laws, right? Whether or not you can provide public comment or whether or not you can participate, because some of our subcommittees, we allow everyone to participate. So because we want input, we don't want to be restrictive. We want you guys to be able to participate. So please consider it, because all of your comments tonight are helping. You're helping more people than you even realize, because if you don't say it, who's gonna know, right?
Bingo.
So thank you. I know you guys said you had something to say. If you can make it really quick, because we're all wrapped up here.
Linda, go ahead.
Okay, I was handed a note and it's saying we need more, we need you to give us more money for Carson. So more
Yes,
funding.
please.
If we had, if I had more money.
Oh my God.
I'll print some. Let's do it.
I know, you know what, I have a car. I have a car, you know, it's right on the.
We all need more money for the disability community.
It's not per se a fact or anything. I just want to ask a question. If I can see you a little bit afterwards about the youth thing and becoming more of an advocate for this.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, actually, it's, I feel so bad for Dee Dee and Linda, cause on our group nights on every month, poor Dee Dee and Linda, they had to fork out of their own pocket for pizza. And they, and for everything, even for
I know.
movie and bowling.
I want to thank Dee Dee because I didn't ask her to bring water and cookies. And, you know, that was really nice. Thank you, Dee Dee. $100 all it pays for that stuff. So, yeah.
Don't realize.
Yeah, and we do a lot of us do our own donating too.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, come on up. Thank you, everybody. And thank you so much. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.